quick up top, this is your host, Matt. I just wanted to let everyone know that we are starting a sports podcast. We are three Wisconsin sports fans, me, Bo, and Quinn, and we decided to start a sports podcast called Bubbler Sports. So it won't be on this feed. So if you are a fan of us and our discussions, uh, subscribe to that. It should be available on anywhere where you can find podcasts, for sure. Apple, Spotify, Amazon. So yeah, greatly appreciate the support. If you want to just pop on over there and subscribe to the Bubbler Sports Podcast, there should be two episodes up there. The first one is me by myself, but then joined by Bo and Quinn on the most recent one. So yeah, that's less. I mean, just having a lot of fun. It's a lot less scripted. It's just a lot of sports are going on, and it's us shooting the shit, talking a little bit. So I think it's a lot of fun, highly enjoyable. So yeah, feel free to subscribe to that. Show us as much support as possible. Give us a rating or a review after the first couple episodes. Let us know how we're doing. But yeah, other than that, back to the good, bad, and the garbage.
Really cool.
Right. Here we are. Let's talk John Travolta and Nicolas Cage face switching machine. So yeah, welcome back to another episode of The Good, Bad, and the Garbage. Today we're talking Face Off, starring John Travolta and Nicolas Cage, like I said. So they play cat and mouse and literally play each other against a beautifully stylized backdrop of typically elegant, over-the-top John Woo violence. That's the Rotten Tomatoes description of this movie. What a wild description that is.
Elegant?
Yeah. I don't know.
Just because you put doves in his couple scenes does not make it elegant.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, there's Travolta, Cage, Joan Allen, Gina Gershon, Dominique Swan, Nick Cassavetes makes an appearance. He's kind of a semi-well-known actor. Directed by John Woo, like I said. So here, take a guess. Unless you've looked it up, take a guess on what the Rotten Tomatoes score is on this movie.
Ooh.
I think I looked it up, so I don't want to say.
Okay, yeah, Quinn, you guess then if you looked, Bo.
I'll guess after Quinn guesses.
Yeah, okay.
I'm guessing 45, 46, somewhere in that area.
That's quite the guess. Okay.
It's like 87.
So for critics, 92%.
I knew it was really, really high.
For audience, 82%. And then,
right in the middle. I said 87.
Yeah, no, you were good. That was a good guess. But Quinn, I completely
subjectively as a good movie, it's not. But if you look at it as like just a wild ride, I would say, yeah.
Well, that's what's crazy about this movie. So IMDb, it's a 7.2. Metacritic, it's an 82%, which is ridiculously high for Metacritic. Just to close out a couple things here, it was a budget of $80 million, which is a little high at the time. Box office, though, was $245 million, so it definitely cashed out. Yeah, this is a movie that, like, I don't know how it got the good reviews, because I think movies like this are made all the time, but then they get bad reviews and then they become cult classics later. But for whatever reason, this movie, like, the critics got it. Like, they knew what it was. They knew that it was this like just crazy sit back and enjoy the ride type movie, and they gave it good scores. I don't feel like this happens that often, that the critics hop on board of a movie like this. I think that's kind of crazy.
I'll be honest. I think I'll say it right now, because I think as we go through, we're gonna I don't have like that much. I'm gonna obviously I'll talk positively about it. I actually really, really liked it. Like, I actually thought it was good, like legit good. Like, I would say definitely top 3 or 4 movies we've watched out of all the movies we've watched.
Dude, I really enjoyed it too. I was laughing for the majority of it and saying what the fuck, like the rest of it.
Nicolas, I don't know if order, Matt, of what you want to talk about, and then because obviously we all watched
let's
this a
just
while
start
ago,
with
so
the
maybe it'll
beginning.
like stem things in my head, but like I feel like there's so much to say, I can't remember it all.
All right,
Yeah,
I watched this a couple weeks ago, like right after we put it on there. I pretty much watched it that night because I was so excited to see it.
It's like to go at
the,
this rate.
the opening of this movie is crazy. Just
It
when
is.
you know, most openings of
Well, wait.
action, you're like, yeah, that.
Well, wait.
Just like an
Before you go on, what do you mean by the opening? Do you mean the flashback, or do you mean the?
No, when he starts
Oh.
with the bomb, like
I was
Okay.
thinking the
Well, let me
the
just
bomb and then
let me just quickly bring up one thing though. So, because it really opens on a flashback with John Travolta on like a carousel with his
kid?
son,
That is
and then
so weird.
Nicolas Cage with a mustache. Like, let's just put a mustache on
I
Nicolas
put that.
Cage.
I put Nick Cage opening mustache.
He's
What kind of
so
disguise?
he's trying to shoot Travolta, accidentally kills his kid, and that's how the movie opens. My big question is, why didn't he just shoot John Travolta? Like, he shot the kid on accident and then apparently left. Well, I mean,
I
just
think
shoot
he
shoot
So he
Travolta,
thought
didn't
he killed John Travolta.
I thought
He
it
didn't
I thought it
kill
shot
him.
John Travolta and went
Yeah,
through.
It
went
did.
through
It went
into his kid.
it went through him and hit his kid, but like Travolta clearly lives and like is crawling to his son like right after it happens. Like, why isn't Nicolas Cage just double tapping him?
I know that like
We wouldn't have a movie, man.
That's
also
the right answer. We needed a movie.
You're saying. I also know that like Travolta was like anti-terrorism or whatever, but like, wouldn't the number thing a terrorist probably shouldn't do to catch attention by anti-terrorists is shoot the lead detective in anti-terrorism? Like, did they ever? That's the only explanation I feel like I got from why Nicolas Cage was trying to kill John Travolta in the very beginning.
Never really explained it why he was
right, and I just assumed it's because Nicolas Cage was a terrorist and John Travolta worked like in anti-terrorism.
Well, I think because John Travolta was trying to track him down.
But like, wouldn't that just make you more like, I don't know, that'd be like
it would put a bigger target on you.
that, like Bin Laden being like, all right, now my goal is to murder Bush. Be like, okay, now we really are going to try and kill you even more. Like,
yeah, that's true.
you don't like, you know what I'm saying? Like, killing John Travolta doesn't suddenly like, you don't.
Oh, guess we're not going to chase him anymore.
You're not the only person that can tell the story of how you're a terrorist. Like, you still are in the police database.
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
we need to talk to John about this.
Yeah, we'll figure this out. But no, okay. So what you're talking about, the scene after that, though. What a wild ride.
So
he's great.
So most action movies, you see like the arc. There's a climax, and then it settles, and they started getting into a story plot. This never. I thought like 5 times that climax had happened. It just kept going up. It just kept going up.
Just all rise, man. It's just
all rise for like 35 minutes. I was like, what is going on?
He love
the bomb off. He does his little headbang dance. He ropes
how is that
person?
How is that GIF not used more?
There's a plane ride. Things are blowing up. Then they're in the. He talks about eating peaches, and then there's more climax, and then there's a shootout in the.
Well, just first of all, Castor Troy, what a great fucking name.
It is, yeah.
That's a pretty awesome name.
But yeah, how's that GIF of him like dressed as a priest and like dancing like this not used more?
And then like he just goes and licks the like neck or whatever.
Yeah, this like 17-year-old girl, and then like grabs her ass and like screams, and like that's another GIF. I'm just like, what the fuck is literally I'm just 5 minutes in, like, what the fuck is this? Is peak,
that was my
peak Nicolas Cage is acting crazy.
But I actually thought he was fucking awesome in this movie. Like, to me, he was like the highlight.
Well, I don't know if it's because it's Nicolas Cage, but it's just easier to like watch him do crazy shit and accept it. Just be like, yeah, it's Nick Cage. That's fine.
He didn't think he was acting during this.
I think he was just being himself.
He probably spent like 3 years method acting for this, like walking up and down the streets.
It's just
like a total
a child groping priest. I don't know. I don't know if you should go down that road.
Priest outfit.
Anybody find out what religion he is?
All of them.
Yeah.
Dude, can we talk
We're cutting that off.
Guys, then they're in the air. They're in this air wind tower.
I have written down here classic spinning gunpoint at each other scene 16 minutes in.
Oh, dude, shoot, just fucking shoot, just shoot each other. Literally, how many times they do that?
Yeah, so I don't know. It was quite the right. Yeah, this is a movie where my list of like dumb things is actually pretty long, but for whatever reason, again, like it just works in this movie. Like you just don't care and you like accept it.
Yeah, that's pretty much my list.
So yeah, of course,
like that you had two like big name actors, especially now. Like they're two
at
like
that time, yeah.
Especially even now though, like I feel like, well, maybe not like high schoolers today, like, but like our age at least of Nicolas Cage from like National Treasure or like anything, Gone in 60 Seconds. Like he was in like a total like shit show of a person for a while there for us.
Well, and then he had that thing where his investor or his financial advisor like stole all of his money. So then he had to start. That's why he was in like every B movie ever made. Like that's why he was just rattling off shitty movies because he's like, well, I need the money.
We also didn't know John Travolta was like a Scientologist until like later in life. So
John Travolta is you think Nicolas Cage is crazy? John Travolta
he's like legit crazy.
Yeah, I feel at this time I don't think people knew that yet though, but people maybe knew that Nick Cage was a little crazy.
I do have one thing that always bothers me about Travolta, and I think it's every single movie. It was like younger, it didn't matter, but in this movie, like he's old enough. His voice does not fit his looks. He is such a pathetic little like high-pitched whine voice. He's like such like a strong chin, strong jawline, like masculine American man. He
have like a Baldwin type voice, but he does not.
I don't know why. Every time he speaks, I'm like, that cannot be John Travolta. Like that does not sound like, even though it's exactly what he sounds like. I'm like, that can't be his voice.
No, it's like his voice, and still every time, like, what the fuck? That's his voice. Jesus. So,
how is this guy famous?
He must be shorter than he looks. That's the only thing I can think of.
Dude, he's definitely not tall. Okay, can we? If we're gonna go,
wait, how tall is he?
Can we talk about his face touching in this movie and how they never explain it?
Oh yeah, him like. What does he do? Like
he touches. He goes.
Oh yeah,
everybody's face.
That's to like his kids.
In the beginning, he did it to his wife. Yeah. He does it to Nick Cage at one point. He really does it to everyone.
I think writer/director combination of just trying to find some symbolism, and it might have just.
I think it's just supposed to. We need to give him something that, like, when he does this to his wife, she knows it's him. Okay, well, let's just say he does this to like all of his loved ones or something. So then, like when he does that wearing Nick Cage's face, she's like, "Oh, you really are my husband." But whatever. John Travolta is 6'2".
Oh, so he is tall.
Yeah, there you go.
I was gonna guess, like I was gonna say he looks like he should be 6'1", but I wouldn't be surprised if he was like 5'9".
But yeah, there you go. The more you know. So he captures what's his name? Sean. What's
Sean?
Oh, his brother?
No. John Travolta's character, Sean Archer.
Yeah.
So he captures Castor Troy. But then I feel like this is a movie where they came up with this premise of let's have two characters switch faces. Like that sounds really cool. Now let's build a plot around that maybe doesn't always make the most sense, because the reasoning for them to switch faces
is so they could defuse the bomb.
Well, it's so he can like go undercover and talk to the brother Pollux like in the prison and get the location of the bomb. There's got to be a better way to do this, right? Like,
and how does nobody in the like none of the guards know, like, hey, like you work for like top elite anti-terrorism group of America and you can't even alert the guards going in that like by this isn't Castor Troy.
Yeah, like what's the harm in telling them?
Like, don't fuck him up. And the first thing they do is just fuck him up.
Yeah, well, what's the harm in telling the guards? Like, why are they keeping this that big of a secret? Like, what's the big deal? Tell the one guard. Tell the head guard.
Only tell two people. The doctor that does it and like your buddy.
Well, you know what's funny about that too? They said they're like, there's the only two people that are gonna know. There was like 10 people in the surgery room performing this surgery.
They killed them all.
They all know. Like, it's
Yeah.
not like he performed the surgery by himself. He had a few assistants, and you're taking off this face. I think they know what's going on, but whatever. But yeah, there's got to be a better way to get this info, because I like the reasoning or the rationale is you're the person that knows Castor Troy the best. Like, you need to go in and talk to Pollux, the brother, so that like if any important questions come up, you know the answer. Literally took 5 minutes and he had the information. He wasn't even in that prison a day, and he got the information from the brother. And the only thing he needed to know was that Pollux had an inhaler or some shit.
Oh yeah, the medication.
Yeah, literally the only thing that needed to be known. And like anyone could have done this job. It didn't need to be like Sean Archer. Like, face switching aside, there's got to be a better way of like doing this, of like getting information. But again, like, it's just a movie, cool premise. Let's switch faces. All right, let's build the plot around that idea now.
So I put in my notes, I put about specifically about the surgery. I said, when putting on the face, they just smoosh it around.
Yeah, mush it around. Yeah,
they just mushed it around. Like, I don't remember exactly why I put that, but I feel like it was just, it didn't look like it should have worked.
Have you seen somebody with a face transplant before? Like, they can do them in real life. Like, it's great that they can do them, but I mean, you're not coming out like on the cover of Vogue anytime soon when you're over. Like, it's not as obviously.
It was
they look like he's got scars all over. I
expected them to show them literally lasering around and pulling, and then the blood like underneath. They got real graphic with it.
Yeah.
No,
also, I had the idea when I was watching with the magnetic boots that it would be kind of cool if, like,
why
I think basketball would be the best sport if everybody had to wear magnetic boots, and like one time a game, the opposing team could just press the button for one and just shoes locked to the ground.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Like a breakaway. Like, could you imagine like LeBron for like a breakaway dunk with all that speed and just press the button?
Why you gotta pick LeBron? Why?
He'd find a way to complain about it.
No, that's one thing. I forgot this whole prison thing, because I've seen this movie one other time. I totally forgot that there's this like hidden prison with magnetic boots and all this shit. Like, that was crazy.
They shuffle in line for the whole time they're there, basically.
Those boots just reminded me of the boots from Super Mario Brothers. I don't know if you guys remember those at all.
I tried to black that out.
Okay.
But I do remember.
Who watched
who watches that? Yeah, who watches that shit movie?
Apparently the creators of Jurassic Park. It's a nut job.
It's the one thing that's never going to be forgotten about that movie.
That's the one thing they ride home about forever.
One of the greatest parts of that prison scene was, so I wrote here, and I think this is perfect. It says, Nick Cage acting like John Travolta, acting like Nick Cage.
Yeah.
It's like Tropic Thunder.
Yeah. Robert
Downey Jr.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
When the white guy playing a black guy.
And he starts that fight with the guy, and he's like, I am Castor Troy.
Yeah.
I am Castor. And the brother's like, okay.
Who do you think had more fun in this movie? Nick Cage pretending to be John Travolta, or John Travolta pretending?
At first, John Travolta was really awkward, but then I think he got into it like later, in later scenes, and I feel like his was more awkward. Like Nick Cage, you can see him doing weird shit like this, but John Travolta trying to act like Nick Cage, acting like John Travolta, was wild.
Yeah.
Every time they did it, it was like, this is just wild.
Yeah, I think John Travolta probably had more. Like, it's probably more fun to play a crazy Nick Cage personality than like you're playing the straight and narrow John Travolta.
Watching him trying to play a crazy Nick Cage.
What's with the I just was making me think of this was like the chiclets that, like, you know, the box that Castor Troy always opened up and it had his revolvers and shit. He had all like his things that he wanted.
His sick ass money clip and his like guns and everything.
And he just had chiclets gum. Like, how much money of sponsorship did they have to pay for that?
I could see it just being free and just being like, let's make him have chiclets, like just some weird ass fucking thing like that.
It's supposed to be like an indication, like, oh, he just rolls all the time and has to constantly chew gum.
Yeah, I don't know.
That might be it. He's
I don't
definitely
know.
snorting coke. No more
Oh, yeah.
drugs for that guy.
Right? Yeah, no more.
Oh, that was actually a pretty funny scene.
That was good. No, that was good. That was. I'm gonna take his face right off. All right. But yeah, I guess Nick Cage and John Travolta, they spent like 2 weeks together, just like trying to pick up on each other's like tone of voice and everything to get ready for the movie, which I
2
always
weeks.
appreciate and kind of cool.
Could you imagine if it was like Heath Ledger or
Heath Ledger?
Like 3 years.
Yeah, that's true. They spent like years getting ready for this.
They try and be like reborn. Like, I'm gonna try and slide out of your
Ledger and Daniel Day-Lewis. There you go.
Yeah, that would be a wild ride. But yeah, so he escapes out of prison because I what I like about this movie, or I appreciate, is so Castor Troy wakes up, puts John Travolta's face on, so there's a face switch. I actually appreciate that he just like killed everyone that knew, and then I thought the bomb was going to be like a bigger point of the movie. Like at the end of the movie would still be him, like the good guy saving the city from the bomb. But I actually kind of like that. Like, no, we're just going to kill everyone that knew about the face switching. And then Castor Troy as, John Travolta, like diffuses the bomb and becomes the hero, like halfway through the movie. Yeah. And it's just like, no,
that gave you like a overwhelming sense of this for
John Travolta. When he was in the prison, he was like, I'm not Castor Troy. And he's like, you're fucked.
Yeah, like
you're not getting out of there.
Literally at that point, I'm like, what's he gonna do? Like, I couldn't remember what happened in this movie. I'm like, what's he gonna like? He literally, everyone's dead. He just stopped the bomb and is the hero. Like, he just completely took over your life. I'm like I like that it kind of got rid of that sense of hope for like the good guy halfway through the movie. Like, I don't know. I thought that was like kind of crazy. Like I don't think that would necessarily happen in most movies. So I just thought that was kind of cool.
He came in and told him in the prison he was going to fuck his wife, and he did.
And then he did, which is weird. Like, all right, this might be a little off. Maybe it's the beer talking here. But so they switched faces and changed their bodies a little bit. I mean, she would probably recognize that isn't her husband's dick, right?
Well, no.
I think that was the beer talking.
That is a good question, because they didn't switch bodies.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a good question. I don't know. Maybe they're both very average males.
Wait, no. Remember they like lasered on hair and stuff?
Did they laser his dick?
What about his balls? Because I feel like balls are like a fingerprint.
She's like, wait, when have you curved to?
I thought you always curved a little to the right, not a little to the left. What's going on here?
Well, it's girthy there.
I don't know. Random beer
like
thought.
Castor Troy's an ass eater too. She probably wouldn't have picked that up.
Probably not. Kind of creepy him hitting on the daughter too, but what
Yeah, but I mean, serious question: who's a better dad? Pretty big, like
the dad giving
ass when she was underneath John Travolta, but she kind of cleaned up. She's looking like a little spring or a little blonde hair and summer colors when she was with Nick Cage.
Future note, Quinn, for your daughter. Good dads give their daughters butterfly knives
and cigarettes.
We'll smoke some cigarettes together.
All right.
It'll be my first one. It'll be her first one.
There you go. I had a note here. I thought so. The escape scene, like when Nick, I don't know how to describe these characters with the face switching thing, but when the good guy breaks out of prison, I like how he just jumps into the water. And then they just presume he's dead. Like the next scene, like he jumps off of the oil rig,
walking around on around the street.
Yeah, and like in broad daylight, they watch him just jump into the water. The very next scene are the cops telling like Castor Troy, "Oh, he was dead." Like what? No, like you guys just literally watch him jump in the water. Would you think the fall killed him? Like he just jumped into water. Like I don't know. I thought that was a little I don't know. It's just one of those, this movie is full of plot holes and just technical issues. But again, like I don't care. Like it's just a wild ride and fun to watch.
It's a wild ride.
I've noticed that era of like movies during fights really like sparks.
Yeah,
There's
that
just
was a
so many
big thing.
Sparks,
Dude,
just sparks
no,
everywhere.
every time they shoot, it explodes.
Just how do we make it look more intense? Just add sparks.
Everything's exploding, and all they're doing is shooting bullets.
Yeah, I mean,
So how high was the jump into the water? Now that you're mentioning it, because was it fairly high? I mean,
It looked like a long ways.
but they
should assume someone died, but that's still like
that's a huge assumption. Like he didn't get shot or anything. He just jumped into the water. I get that it might be from high up, but like I feel like assuming he's dead isn't like the natural thing to do.
Yeah, police find a body.
Yeah, like I don't know. Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Whatever. We can talk about the church fight scene later, because that one was a wild ride.
No, that's true. I guess just to sum this movie up in a nutshell, though, I had this written down. This is a movie where there are lines like someone saying, "This shit, as in cocaine, is so good it's gonna make your dick hard." But then at the same time, it's a movie about a dad dealing with the emotional trauma of his son dying and reconnecting with his family. That's what kind of movie this is.
it's the battle of addiction.
It's nuts. Also note here, John Woo, he puts doves in every movie. So first dove sighting in this movie was
The very beginning when the kid's killed, isn't it?
Yep.
Is it that soon? I didn't have that written down. All
I thought, yeah, doves take off and like fly after he's shot, right?
I thought
like
maybe
after the gunshot happens. Maybe, or am I right, Quinn?
No, you're right. It's in the opening scene.
All right. Well, even sooner than
I wrote it down.
I had an hour.
Because I know John Woo is like the dove guy.
Yeah, he is.
And I was like, I'm waiting for it.
I had an hour 54 when they were in the church, but maybe it's
the
2 seconds.
Much used in the church.
Yeah.
Doves everywhere. Really don't do a good job of sealing that church up.
Yeah. So no, I mean, church fights. I think the fight scenes in this movie are awesome. Like that's one thing that's really good. Are the stunts, the fight scenes, like everything along those lines. And I mean, it's John Woo. Like that's what he's really good at, so it makes sense. Like those stunts in the boat scene, the boat chase scene,
dude, that was crazy,
phenomenal. Even though you can clearly tell that isn't John Travolta and Nick Cage. Not that people would expect it to be them, but they have legit close-ups on like some of those stunts, and it's supposed to be Nick Cage who has his buzz cut, and it's like a stunt dude with like flowing long hair. It's like they didn't even try to cover that up. But the stunts themselves are really awesome.
Cool, nonetheless.
Yeah, no, very true. But yeah, no, I mean the church fight scene, that was awesome. I like actually I did have this written down. I like so they switch their voices, they get a chip in their throat or something like that. That'll the first thing they say too is like any decent shot to the throat will cause it to dislodge. The whole movie are these two guys getting hit in the throat, and it doesn't happen.
I know. I was waiting for that to play more into the factor. Like there's like almost that, or in the beginning, Travolta goes to the prison that he'll get in a fight. It'll get knocked loose. And he's trying to talk Pollux or whatever, and all of a sudden he's got Travolta's voice back. But no, it never happens like that. There's like nothing meaningful, and then a couple times wiggles it when he's like on the phone to try and talk to his wife to be like, you know, I don't know. It didn't really play that much of a factor.
No, it did until the very end when like in the church, like he does get hit in the throat, and then all of a sudden, like Nick Cage has John Travolta's voice, but then during the boat scene when they're yelling at each other, it like reverts back. Like they didn't switch it. But yeah, I mean, whatever. Like I said, this movie is full of like technical and sound errors. I look at the goofs on IMDb, and it's just full of like, oh, you can see the boom mic here, or this. They pull the trigger on this gun, and the gunshot happens a second later. Like it's just full of like shit like that. But at the end of the day,
time to just sit watch movies like that though. I like don't notice that stuff because like I don't want to be sitting like 1 second.
Yeah, there's people that care that much. I mean, I noticed it a couple times, but not like when I go to the page, like you got to scroll with how many things happen. It's a lot. So, Quinn, what did you want to talk about with is there anything with the church scene you want to talk about other than just how cool it was?
I love how that's one thing about this movie. It just embraces the over the topness in such a way that it's weird because we've watched so many movies like this where they're over the top, but you watch them and you just are like, God, this is kind of dumb. This one didn't feel dumb. It just felt like, what am I watching? What is going on? And you were like wanting to keep watching it. I never once was like, I want to turn this off, even though it was a long movie.
It feels suspenseful too. Like, I mean, it all applies to what you're Quinn. Like, I think,
dude, the pace was.
I thought it was like it was. I thought it was decent acting from like the two main guys, like relatively speaking, for the scenario that they had to be
easy. Like you just kind of laughing the whole time, like especially Travolta and his drama parts.
Right.
You're just.
But, like, I don't know. Like I was constantly interested in like storyline, like you said with the when Castor Troy's John Travolta goes and saves the bomb that basically makes him the hero. Like I said, it like gave you a sense of helplessness. Like I was actually like, oh geez, that fucking sucks. Could you imagine being stuck in like this underground prison? And like, I don't know, it's such a dorky, odd way of going around that movie. Like made you actually feel kind of like hearing, you know, instead of just like watching and laughing and being happy with action scenes, you were like actually cheering.
No, that was the moment where I went, oh shit, like he just took everything away from Sean Archer. Like like I said, he killed the people who knew and he stopped the bomb. Like there's literally nothing that could like save him. Yeah, how's he getting out of there? So that definitely made it more compelling for sure. The last thing, I don't know if you guys had anything else, but one of the last things I had was, what'd you think of that ending? So he kills Castor Troy and John Travolta gets his face back and they adopt Castor Troy's son.
That was weird.
Basically to just like replace their dead son.
Yeah, that was weird.
Like the wife is just like, okay. Like she just sees the kid and she's like, yeah, okay, sounds good. So it's like a happy ending, right? Like, oh, they kind of replace their son, which is weird in itself. But then like he gets his face back and everything's fine. What'd you guys think of the ending?
The son thing was weird. I was like, oh, he's back. And then the kid walks in. I was like, that's weird.
It did feel like it was sort of one of those, you're almost stretching that storyline too far. I thought it was kind of in a storyline for like Castor Troy to find out that he has a son that he maybe didn't know about type of thing. Like it could instill some empathy into him. And if it went from, but like then to adopt the kid, it's almost like, I don't know, feels like you're pushing that story narrative. Like,
gotta tie it up, man.
Yeah, well, I could just with the kid. You could have just went with Face Off too, and that could have been Castor Troy versus, I guess, well, not Sean Archer Jr. Yeah, against somebody else.
I think for this movie, like literally only this movie that works, right? Like this movie is crazy enough. Like why not? Yeah. Why not let them adopt the son and it replaces their dead son? Like whatever. My only thing is like I legit thought I remembered that he doesn't get his old face back. Like
that would have been horrible.
I legit thought that like at the end he got the harpoon to the face and like damn it, and like so he couldn't get his old face back. Like, clearly I was wrong in remembering that, but I guess they did do an alternate ending, and the alternate ending is like Sean goes home and like he still has Castor's face. Like that is like an alternate ending that's on like the DVD for a deleted scene. So you're saying you wouldn't like that? Like you wouldn't want him to get like to keep the old face?
I would be fine with that, but I don't think that I'd want like his relationship to go on that way. You know, like I don't like, how would you as like the wife, you know, I don't know how you'd rewrite that to be different, but like, I don't think it would be the level of cheesiness as adopting the kid as I think if the Wife was like,
Craziest part is
"It's okay."
this is the guy that killed your son.
Yeah,
And you have
that's
his
the thing.
face
It's
on you.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's better or worse than the actual ending, but like I don't know. I just can't like you'd almost have to like find a different ending other than a happy ending if he was gonna still have his like it would have to have some like dark undertones.
Like he just becomes Castor Troy and becomes the bad.
That would be
like
real dark. Interesting.
Yeah.
But like I just couldn't imagine his wife seeing that come home and be like, "Oh yeah, let's just keep family."
Yeah, I don't know. I thought the ending of the movie is almost like too happy. Like, oh, you got a new kid to replace your dead son, and you have your old face back.
Just thought alternate ending, preferably. He walks home with his face and everything, goes into bed, goes to have like sex or intercourse. Same thing. I don't know.
sex intercourse.
intercourse with his wife, and his wife stops him. Goes,
"That's not your penis.
Can you switch bodies with Castor?" That would be pretty funny. Just some low-hanging fruit humor.
Just and there's like no humor in this movie. There's some humor, but just end it on that note. Just, can I get the other guy's dick? Like, come on.
That dude is hung.
Oh man. But yeah, this was the note on like that alternate ending. Special edition DVD contains several deleted scenes, most notably an alternate ending which Sean Archer looks into a mirror and Eve gasps as she and the audience sees Castor Troy's face as Archer's reflection. Studio nixed this ambiguous ending in favor of a happy conclusion. So they wanted a happy ending, I guess.
It feels like if you had he still had Castor Troy's face. If you didn't have like another behind it towards the ending, it would be ambiguous. Like you'd be like, okay, whoa, like that. You just can't go back to normalcy like that. By the way, how is the rest of the world still going to find out that you're not Castor Troy when all the people who knew that you switched Castor Troy's face are now dead, other than your wife can sit there? People are going to be like, your wife's crazy. Like
she had DNA evidence.
Oh yeah, that's right. Still though.
No, that's true. All right. Did you guys know that there's a sequel in works?
In works.
Yeah. So in February 2021, it was reported that Adam Wingard, who directed the Godzilla vs. Kong movie that just came out, would direct the direct sequel to the original. I don't know what you do with the direct sequel.
Just leave it alone.
I don't know
who would be two good actors for it.
Where there doesn't need to be sequels.
Who would be two good actors for it?
That's the thing. When they say direct sequel, it makes me assume that like Travolta's coming back, but like Castor Troy's dead, so you can't bring them both back.
Travolta, Zac Efron.
Efron
did the Ted Bundy thing. He's got some demonic side to him. He can pull out.
He played the Ted Bundy.
Yeah, that Netflix movie. Yeah.
He's definitely not going to want to trade back bodies or faces.
Maybe not even dick size.
Definitely not dick size either.
No, at some point this was reported as a remake, and now it's like a sequel. So I don't know what it's going to be, but apparently they're making another face-off movie. So there you go. Directed by the guy who did Godzilla vs. Kong, so we know it'll be a winner.
Face Off 2.
Movie good.
John Travolta versus the of Castor Troy.
Who would be okay? So let's think of this. Who would be really good? Two actors. Who was reported for this role?
I can't find. I'm trying to find like who is going to be in it, but
no. Who was originally reported to get the?
Oh, this actually it was Arnie and Sly.
That would have been awesome.
They're supposed to be the original two, and then they replaced it with Travolta and Cage. So
that would have been pretty cool.
I'm trying to think who's played like a really good creepy person in the past. Like,
You need someone younger. Like,
I know.
I mean, I feel like you could just slip Leonardo DiCaprio into anything. He'd probably work out.
it's pretty good.
I was like Leo and Robert De Niro and get Martin Scorsese to direct it.
Oh, that'd just be Shutter Island 2 meets Face Off 2. But I guess did Scorsese do Shutter Island? He did, right?
Yeah, he did. He did.
Fucking love that movie.
That movie was a trip.
That movie's so good.
That movie is a trip. What is this? Face Off 2, Adam Wingard confirms Cage and Travolta are interested in returning. What a headline that is. Yeah, interested.
Nicolas Cage is interested in anything that is a payout. Like,
yeah. Christopher Walken is kind of a crazy person. He's a little old now.
I was gonna say he's old though.
William Dafoe is a little old. I'm just trying to think of crazy
Shout out
people.
UWM.
Okay, how about Matthew McConaughey?
How about
You could play a little unhinged person.
Yeah.
he could?
Pull it off, yeah.
How about
What if we do like
Fred Cando and Evan James?
Oh God.
What if you do like total straight edge guys like Christian Bale and Matt Damon?
That's the problem though. They're the same person to me. Like that switch isn't really
Dennis
worth it.
Reynolds. Dennis Reynolds.
And Mac.
Glenn Howerton, but as Dennis Reynolds.
It just needs to be a It's Always Sunny episode where they find a face-off machine.
It really does.
Yeah.
And Danny DeVito.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. So I assume we're all in agreement that it's good, right? Like
I think it's good.
I don't think this, for whatever reason, whenever I think about it, this movie just shouldn't be good, but it just is. Like
It's good.
I don't know why, but it's
So wild and entertaining. And it's so my biggest thing with this movie is watching the actors trying to play the other actors trying to play themselves.
yeah.
It's wild to watch.
No, it's true. Stuff like that's always interesting.
I was actually like, Maria was like, which movie are you in? Because I just had it on my computer when I was doing stuff, and it was like Face Off, and I was like, I literally can't believe how much I like this. Like, it's really good. Like, I'm thoroughly entertained. It's like jokes on fucking Quinn. He picked an awesome movie.
Right.
I've heard such good things about this movie.
True. No, I know. This is a trip. I hadn't seen it in a while, but all right. Who wants to go first? This is Quinn.
I'll go first.
Where are you ranking it?
This might have. I'm putting this up there between Drunken Master and Tremors.
Number 4. All right. Quinn's new. Let me just write that down. Quinn, number 4. Okay.
Man, I really like Drunken Master.
Yeah, Drunken. I mean, yeah, that was legit.
That was the OG one too.
Really good.
Oh,
Yeah, but it's the conversation that started this whole thing.
Yeah.
Isn't there a movie where Jackie Chan gets drunk and fights people?
They need to make like a modern day like American like bar crawl version of that. Like a UFC,
it's called Roadhouse.
All right, here's Bose.
I forget that I have Troll Hunter second. Honestly, I think I'd put it. Oh man, it's close to Drunken Master. I honestly think I'd put it just a. I actually think I put it ahead of Troll Hunter. I think it's second.
All right.
I genuinely liked it.
All right, your new number 2.
Tackiness to it, considering like the fact that this shit is like outrageous. You know, the same way Tiptoes was.
Mm-hmm.
Like it gives it bonus.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay. So for me, I originally had this at my original score for this was a 6.7 out of 10. That's before rewatching it with you guys. I'm gonna have to bump this up to like, I think it's better than Troll Hunter. I think it's better than Jingle All the Way. I think it's going to be an 8.4 for me now, and it's going to be, like Quinn, my new number 4.
Good choice, Quinn.
This movie was just very good in the most unexpected way possible.
That's the best way to describe that.
It was.
I'm watching a prison where they have magnet boots and the prison guards just flip a switch and they can't move. I'm watching, Nick Cage grope choir girls. I'm watching faces get suctioned off and like what is going on?
What is the we never talked about this moment, but like one of the least attractive pickup lines I've ever heard is when Nick Cage is on the airplane and he's like trying to seduce a girl and he's like, what does he say? Like, why?
I can eat a peach for hours.
Oh, what I meant to say is, would you suck my tongue or whatever? It's like, wait, what? Suck your tongue? That's so what you went with. Look, he said it so slow. He's like, what I meant to say is, I want you to suck my. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be gross. And he's like, tongue, and I was like, grosser than I thought. Honestly, I would have rather you said dick. Like,
no, this movie is full of just dumb lines. Like, at one point after they switch faces and Sean Archer as Castor Troy is like going into the prison, he like rubs his face up against the wall and everyone's like, what are you doing? He's like, my face itches. Because he just like switched faces. He's just rubbing his face up against like a concrete wall. And my face itches. or at one point he's like yelling. He's like, I want to take this face off and burn it. I'm like, oh, what a line. What a fucking dialogue that is. I want to take this face off and burn it. All right.
Wow. Yeah, there's some great.
But it works. For whatever reason, I can't pinpoint it. It just works in this movie. So there you go. That's the John Travolta Nick Cage face switching machine. Came out. I don't know if I ever said the year. Came out in 1997, which is like
it was that late. I honestly like was debating between like 80 and 84.
Yeah, which is like this is like peak Travolta on his comeback because he did Pulp Fiction in 94 and Get Shorty in like 95, and those were like huge hits. That like just he was like nothing for a while. Like he had his career in the 70s, and then like people forgot about him, and those movies like shot him back into popularity, and then he did those, and then Face Off. Like I don't know, he was just
he got real greedy. He's like, I can fucking make any movie good. And I guess he did.
Yeah, he did. I think he was better than Nick Cage in this. Like I enjoyed watching Travolta pretend to be a bad guy than like Nick Cage. So I thought Travolta was like in some ways better. So there you go. So yeah, that was Face Off.
Can we talk about the music is crazy in this?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can really remember it, honestly. Like what was different.
I just remember it being like it's an action movie, so it's like kind of stereotypical like action movie stuff. So it was like kind of cool, you know?
I don't remember why. I wrote down music is wild. This is so good. Like I said, I watched this like
music is wild
weeks ago.
You'd be such a good critique person.
I know.
Like you're writing like scholarly articles. Music was wild. Next point.
Sorry, I'll stop.
Well, no. Well, here you go. This was John Woo's first Hollywood film, by the way. Like he'd done like foreign films, obviously. Face Off earned critical acclaim for its acting performances, especially Cage and Travolta. I would say maybe only Cage and Travolta. Stylized action sequences, John Powell's musical score, emotional depth, originality, humor, direction, and stunts. What a list. But there you go. Musical score was the first thing. Yeah, just everything about it. And it got one Oscar nomination, which was sound editing, which is weird because I think that's like the one complaint is it has a lot of issues of like, oh, this gun pulled the trigger and then like the audio is mixed up. So that's kind of funny that's
maybe it was so difficult. People realized like, oh, like, you know, it's like figure skating. Like you get maybe not don't know how figure skating scoring works.
Well,
but maybe,
yeah, it's like
that
the harder the move, like the more leeway.
Yeah, you get like a difficulty score, and then you get the execution score. Maybe the difficulty score was just that high.
There you go. That has to be it. So yeah, anything else that you guys had? Oh, I'd say here's the last thing. It's labeled as part of the Holy Trinity of Nicolas Cage, along with Con Air and The Rock. So that's Nick Cage's Holy Trinity.
The Rock?
The Rock, Con Air, and Face Off.
I don't know if I know that one.
That's the one with Sean Connery, where The Rock is Alcatraz.
Isn't like National Treasure most like cherished movies from that?
Yeah, I think National Treasure is like,
or people just
like
consider that more
family,
like a family movie.
Yeah, I think that's like a family adventure movie, whereas like this is like Nick Cage 90s action movie, like
being dirty.
Holy Trinity stuff. So
I don't think I've ever seen The Rock. I don't even heard about this movie.
That is probably, I think The Rock is probably like one of the more famous one of the three. Like I think The Rock is the one most people have probably heard of or seen.
I have never even heard of it.
I've heard of The Rock.
So you want a wild Nick Cage movie? I know I've said this a bunch, but Mandy, it's pretty recent.
Mandy's good. That's a recent one. That one's good. That one's like crazy.
He's got a crazy scene in there when he's right after the death and he's in the bathroom. That scene is wild.
He did another one recently called like Mom and Dad or something, where like a weird disease happens in the world where every parent in the world wants to murder their kids. So it's like the story of these kids trying to hide from Nick Cage and whoever his wife is, because they're trying to kill them. Like
that is wild.
That's crazy.
Willy's Wonderland.
That's a new one. I think that's like
2021.
That's a Netflix movie, I think. So this is Quinn. What was the movie? Baker Vance's Mine. So it's Bo's turn.
I did have a movie that popped up in my head the other week, and I was in the vault just to gauge interest, because I remember watching it as a kid, and I remember even playing the video, I think, as a kid, and I just came up in something and it reminded me, and I can't remember if it was good or bad or interesting or funny. I can't even remember if it was a serious movie or not. And I don't know. So I need feedback. If we don't want to do this, I'm fine with it. But I want some input. Mars Attacks.
Okay.
Are you talking about the original Mars Attacks?
I think so.
The one from the 90s, right?
Yeah, the 90s.
Yeah, okay.
Matt is not happy about that.
No, it's actually really good.
This is probably a perfect movie for this podcast. So
such a spoof movie too.
I'm shaking my head because I had lunch with some friends today, and this movie was brought up.
Oh, really?
and they loved it, and I was just like, that movie is so fucking stupid. And they're like, whatever, Matt. And now I'm gonna have to watch it again.
Well, that seems appropriate.
But that's what I'm saying. We should do it just because that seems appropriate. So yeah,
it's interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, I think it's because I think it at the time critically no one liked it, but I think it's kind of come around as people a cult classic-ish. People realize that it's a joke, so they like it now. I don't know. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere, but I'll figure it out. I'll find it.